y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today's video, we are going to print, prep, and plan. Maybe I can get all of those done in one video, but we at least are going to print and plan for the Gather Round Space Unit. I will kind of take you guys from beginning to end, show you a little bit of the process. Yeah, so stick around. All right, so first things first, if you happen to be new, we use Gather Round full time as our core curriculum. We are now on to the space unit. I purchased the one student digital bundle from Gather Round. It's about $20, I think maybe like $19.95 or something. And that's what works for us. My daughter is in the early reader level. So the one student bundle comes with one teacher's guide and then one level of the notebook. I have already printed the teacher's guide and then I ran out of paper. So I just got new paper in and we are going to go ahead and print the student notebook, and then I will kind of show you guys what I do, how I get those bound and all of that stuff, and then we will go from there. Okay, y'all, it's a different day. It's actually several days after that first little bit. Yeah, things have just been a little crazy. Naturally, after I recorded that little section and I started printing out the student notebook, we had a massive lightning storm come through. So I had to stop everything, unplug everything, like we had unplugged TVs and all that stuff. And then a plethora of other things have happened. And so now here we are back to getting space prepped and ready to go. So at this point, I have printed out the teacher's guide and I have printed out early reader. This is the student notebook. Now I did notice in the back of the teacher's guide, there are, looks like there's a timeline, and then there are these note cards, or like different little flashcards here, little fact cards sort of. But I think I'm going to cut those out and laminate those. Here is the timeline. I don't think I'm going to laminate anything with the timeline. We will, oh, this is cool. Solar system in perspective. Okay. Anyways, so I will cut those out, and laminate those little cards. I already have my laminator going. See, can I show you guys here? It doesn't really matter, so sorry. Anyways, just the Scotch laminator. If I can find these to link for you guys, I will. Everything's pretty well just going to be from Amazon. I've just kind of slowly accumulated over time or as I have needed things. And then with the early reader, most everything that happens in the back of the early reader book it goes to something specific, goes to a specific activity. So I will probably just leave those, since I have the teacher's guide note cards that have the different little facts and things on them. I think maybe those would be the better ones to laminate, because I do have like just a little string, like a little piece of twine that I have hung in front of our windows. So I'll just put those there as just kind of like, you know, little extra decorations or reference and things like that. So that's what's next. I'm going to cut out the cards in the teacher's notebook. laminate those. And then I also laminate the, this one got bent because it's been sitting on the floor for 3 days. The front page and the back page of both the teacher's guide and the student notebooks, I laminate those as well, just to kind of give a little bit more reinforcement and a little oomph to it. I don't know if I had mentioned paper. I do, I prefer to print on 32-pound paper, but I did have 28-pound paper for the teacher's guide, and it worked okay. So I would not print on anything less than a 30, I would not print on anything less than a 28-pound, but I do prefer the 32. I will tell you, I made the mistake of getting HP, I'm looking at the thing here, it's HP Premium 32 is what I ordered, excuse me, I ordered from Amazon. I have the Epson EcoTank 2760. I don't know what was happening, but that paper did not do very well in my EcoTank. It kept getting jammed. It was giving me like funky line things on the side. I don't know. I don't know if it was just user error because there was a lot of things going on, or if it was that particular paper. I've not used that paper before, and I've not had these issues before. So I don't know. Typically I will get the Hammermill is the brand that I use. And I would have gotten that, but it would have taken 2 or 3 days to get to me. And I was trying to get this done faster. And then it turns out it was going to take me a week anyway. So just some things to note there. I'm going to get to cutting. I do have this cheap little, cutter thing. Again, I got off of Amazon. Probably could have invested in something a little bit, with a little more oomph in it. Because this, especially with the heavier paper, it only cuts one piece of paper at a time, which can get a little time consuming and a little aggravating. But it's fine. It works fine, and it was super cheap, so not a big deal. Anyway, that's where we're at. We're gonna cut, and then we're gonna laminate some stuff. So I'll be back with y'all shortly. Okay, now I have all of these laminated, so my front and back covers for our books, and then all of our note cards. I'm going to trim first with my little paper cutter here. Obviously, I'm going to go ahead and cut all of these out, and I do trim the extra off here that you guys can see. I trim all of that off before I do my hole punching. Otherwise it gets all off, and I mean, it's already going to be a little off, because obviously, you know, the size isn't going to be exactly the same, but trimming it does get it a little bit closer. So that is next on our in our kind of process here. Next, we are going to bind Teacher's Guide and Early Reader. So I use the Swingline Pro Click system. I love it. And there's lots of different ways that you can bind. But I started with ProClick and I just have stuck with that. It works really good for us. It's simple, it's easy. So it is a little pricey up front. But to me, it was worth it, and it still for us is less expensive to do this than it is to buy all of the units printed and things like that. So anyway, so I have the ProClick, and then I got a big box of spines. This is 100 spines. This really was not necessary. But it was our first, my first time using it. My husband was like, we just really weren't sure. So the price for the 100, I don't think was that bad. I don't remember. It's been quite a while. But the reason I say you don't really need them, and it just depends on what you plan on doing. But these, you can open them back up. There is a little tool. I need to get it off of my desk. But you can use these multiple times. So like this is from an old or a unit that we've already completed. So I took out all of the pages that I wanted to save. I threw the rest away, and then I just held on to the spine, and I can use this again. So even if you got a smaller box, I don't remember the quantity that they come in, but just say like a 20 or a 30 or something like that. I really feel like that would be sufficient. If you do something like that where you're able to take things out and then reuse the spines. Otherwise, you will need a bigger box. But yeah, so I already have some that are cut. The student notebook I bind at the top. That works best for us at this point. I kind of have a feeling we'll probably always bind at the top for the student notebooks. Just makes it easier for my daughter when she's writing. She doesn't have to worry about, the spine being there in her hand and all that stuff. So the shorter ones are for the top. And then this is not a full size. This is a full size. So this is what they look like when you get them in. And like I said, there's a little tool that will kind of fold those and snap them in for you. So I will use one will be for a left-hand binding for the teacher's guide, and then the shorter one will be for a top binding for the student notebook. Yeah, so we will get into that part. One thing that I did forget to mention, depending on the weight of your paper, depends on how many pages you can hole punch at a time. So we just did the early reader, but so the student notebook was 32-pound paper, and I can do about 3 to 4 pages at a time. Now, the weight is a little different, but not significantly different. So with the 28-pound paper, it's probably going to be about the same, maybe like 4 to 5 pages at a time. But just so you guys know, you can do multiples with you can bind multiple pages at a time with the ProClick. And then, like I said, it comes open like this. And then for me, I'll just go through just to kind of make it a little bit easier. I just kind of bend these up before I start binding. That way it makes it a little easier. This is the little tool I was telling you about that it comes with, that it will slide over like this. Obviously it's easier when it's bound. It slides through and it just snaps those things for you, if you can kind of see that there. So that is just a couple things I wanted to mention. We are now going to do the teacher's guide. We're now going to do the teacher's guide. Okay, so I'm just getting ready to bind the teacher's guide, and I kind of wanted to show you guys a couple different ways you can do that if you've never used ProClick before. So I'm gonna have to tilt the camera down so you guys can see how it can work. So here we have, this is the teacher's guide. So I told you guys I bind on the spine there, or I mean on the side. So it's all open. Now you can go through and click all of these if you want to. Sometimes I will, quite honestly, it just depends. But what I will do, I normally will do the first couple by hand, kind of like this, and then maybe just like the last one or two, just to kind of help this tool along. So all you need to do is you take this and you line it up across the top like that, and then you slide this up. See? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they just were a little too, so I didn't quite pinch them together enough, and so, it wasn't making that connection. So just run it through again, and then it's all bound. I always double check because sometimes see how it's not quite snapped there? Sometimes you have to give it a little extra snap. And then that is it. Now there is the crease here, for the spine. I always turn that to the back just because I feel like it kind of helps keep it together. And there you go. This is the left hand binding, and then I'll show you guys the top. So looks exactly the same. This one, I just, I took a full row, bound it like I normally do, and then just cut this off with a pair of scissors. It snips off pretty easily. So that is that. I am realizing that this video is going to be long. Much longer than I had anticipated. So I'm actually going to break this up into two, and that will be kind of the finishing of the planning and prepping for the unit. So I'll go over how I kind of do the extra things, books we're using, any kind of extra fun things that I'm getting in, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for part one. You guys make sure you stick around and look for part two. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon.